Since the beta for Cata, there seemed to have been a severe lack of interest from the devs, and I know they don't want any of their versions of the game to fail, and we know it's more that they were just spread thin with trying to put a lot of development time into Season of Discovery. Well, from absolutely nowhere, all of a sudden they seem to be showing interest in Cataclysm, and this is not just because of the acquisition rate of Dragonwrath being changed, or even the fact that they added Inferno dungeons and really listened to our feedback to implement more items onto the vendor, change the prices of things, amongst many other minor adjustments that actually made sense. But now they're actually changing up even how powerful classes are by changing their set bonus. And I am specifically talking about Elemental, and I am specifically talking about something that is a massive change. If you watch me stream over on Scottejaye87 on Twitch or kick.com/Scottejaye, whichever platform you watch on, you know a big topic of discussion over the last couple of days has been Dragonwrath, and then obviously last night when the Elemental tier set was announced. And of course, on both of these, people will have different opinions. I'm going to give you my opinion on both of these things, and how the fact that Blizzard are making changes is just really, really positive, and it gets me excited. It gets me excited to log on and play Cataclysm, just knowing that at any minute they might actually make a change that brings, you know, a B tier DPS up to an S tier DPS, or they are actually looking at maybe balancing things a little bit better during Firelands. Whereas up until this point, they've been completely hands off. And you might be thinking, well, it's only a tier set, 2 set bonus, like who cares? It's not going to make that much difference. Well, it really is going to make that much difference. And then what does this mean for other classes? Will they tweak things? Will they tune things the same way they did when they was a lot more hands-on during, like, Wrath, for example? So first of all, let's just look at the set bonus change and why it's such a big deal. While I'm actually talking through this, you can see, I'll highlight on the video as well. This is a historic video. I will put a link to it in the description, and hopefully the guy don't mind me using it. But this is somebody during original 4.2, which is an Ellie Shaman, using the 2 set as it's going to be implemented this time round again. And every now and again I'll highlight just so you can see how frequently this thing actually happens. So in preparation for the Firelands raid, we've been working through some adjustments we might make. One frequent topic of discussion is the Elemental Shaman Volcanic Regalia 2-piece set bonus. Now, rather than me reading this word for word, let's just look at what it used to do, which is your damaging spells have a chance to reset the remaining cooldown on your Fire Ellie totem. It's got an 8% proc chance with 105-second internal cooldown. Now, what this basically means is permanent Fire Ellie, and this does actually make a bit of a difference with talents as well, because currently, obviously, to get a big Fire Ellie and make it last as long as possible, you actually, subtree-wise, go down into Resto. But actually, with this set bonus, which obviously Sims and everything will prove what I'm about to say right or wrong, you probably can go down in enhancement instead and get instant Ghost Wolf, which is personally what I'm going to be trying. And judging by what I've seen looking at historic videos, you don't need to go in Resto to get longer totems to keep 100% uptime on Fire Ellie. Because obviously you're going to Fire Ellie on the pole, and literally within the first probably 20 seconds of the fight, you're already going to have it reset ready to use a second time. That's then going to start the internal cooldown again. So as long as you use your second Fire Ellie before the internal cooldown's up, you're then going to be able to reset it again. And to be fair, now we're talking a 6-minute Fire Ellie by that point, the boss is going to be dead. Now, the reason this is a huge change is because what it actually changed to in 4.3 was your Lightning Bolt has a 30% chance to reduce the remaining cooldown of your Fire Ellie totem by 4 seconds. Now, with how quick we're going to get through the fights, obviously excluding Ragnaros, which is still going to be a very long fight, it means you're never even going to get a reset. This 2-set bonus was like absolutely garbage, to the point where it held no value. And then you wouldn't even be like, oh, well, it's okay because I want to get the 4-set, because to be fair, even the 4-set is just situationally good. It's not good all the time. So this change is absolutely huge. And for those of you who don't know, I literally re-rolled Ellie Shaman a few weeks ago in preparation for Firelands before I knew anything about this change. But needless to say, it feels like I really made the right decision, because this is just going to be bonkers. It's going to be so fun to play with.
Hey, that's what she said.
Now, the reason it changed originally back in the day was because when 4.3 was released with class adjustments and the new Dragon Soul raid, it became clear that this set bonus scaled far too well and vastly overperformed. Now, I do think it's going to overperform now as well, if I'm completely honest with you. I don't care. I'm here for it. Please don't change it. Well, until Dragon Soul. Because obviously, as any shamans, we're not going to want to be forced to still be using the 2 set when there's new tier sets to gain. So there is that. So as the post says, they are reverting the change and restoring it back to the original one, so shamans can experience this powerful set in its original form, which, as I say, is just going to be a good time. But they have said it's only going to last for Firelands anyway, because they are going to restore the patch 4.3 version when Dragon Soul actually launches. Now, like I said, the reason this is big is because you might look at it as someone who's not playing a shaman and be like, all right, whatever, that's cool. But this, to me, is far bigger than just a minor change for Ellie shamans. This is showing that Blizzard are actually sort of getting a bit more hands-on with Cata, and I hope it doesn't stop there. If I was to put on my tinfoil hat, and let's be honest, this is probably not right, but I've just got to say it anyway, with Warcraft Direct coming up in a couple of weeks and probably the inevitable announcement of Mr. Pandaria Classic, this could be all an attempt to make sure that there is a player base still at the end of Cataclysm to actually go on to MOP Classic. That's kind of how I feel, which I don't really care as long as they're actually doing positive things for the game. So speaking of positive things, Dragon Wrath. Now, if you look at the original post from a couple of weeks ago where Blizzard announced the change to the acquisition rate of Dragon Wrath, every person that does 10-man was up in arms. They was like, oh, great, Blizz, well done. Yeah, like 10-man have been shafted, blah, blah, blah. The majority of people do 10-mans, you know, all of that. So they went back and they made some changes. And now what you've got is all the 25-man players going, oh, well done, Blizz. Now all of us 25-man players are going to have to do 10-man, which is a load of rubbish anyway. No, you don't. But like I said at the start, we've been doing a lot of discussing around this topic, certainly over the last few days when I've been streaming, and I do think there's things that Blizzard could do slightly different. I'm not going to say better, because actually this second round of changes to the acquisition of Dragon Wrath is better than the first, because really, it's not changed 25-man that much at all. All it's done is change 10-man to make 10-man make more staves. But when you look at it and it says for a 10-man raid over a 12-week period, you're going to fully assemble 3 to 4.5 staves. Well, if you was to take the average of 3 to 4.5, it's still 3. Yes, all right, 3.75, but it's still 3. No mage is going to get excited over the fact that they got 0.75 of a staff because it's not going to make any difference. So on average, over 12 weeks, a 10-man will make 3 staves, whereas 25-man on average are going to make 5. Now, I've been back and forth on this, and in the very first video where I spoke about this, I did say that I was on the fence. I kind of get the sort of give everybody Dragon Wrath. Who cares? It's only a few months. Don't worry about it. Make it super fast. Make 10-man get it at the same speed as 25. Like I said, I get that. But then also at the same time, it's nice to keep balance between 10 and 25, not make any one particular raid size feel punished for doing that raid size. So what I would say they should do is very, very simple, actually, because they've nailed 10-man. In my opinion, at least, what it looks like numbers-wise for the 10-man staff is almost perfect. If you make 3 over 12 weeks, odds are you're going to have a couple of casters, let's say a mage and an Ellie shaman as an example, and probably a disc priest who's going to want it as well. You might even have someone then that wants it for off-spec, so after about 14, 15 weeks, if you make a 4th one, then great. Now, everybody in that raid is happy. So 10-man acquisition just does not need to be touched. In my opinion, they've got it absolutely perfect. However, I do understand with 25-man where you're saying, well, if we're really unlucky in a 25-man raid, we're going to make 4, whereas in a 10-man, if they're really lucky, they're also going to make 4. Now, of course, that's not right. If everybody in a 10-man can happily get all of their staves in a 12-week period, honestly, nobody cares what happens with 25. And I genuinely mean that. If Blizzard literally turned around and doubled the amount of staves a 25-man will get now, but left a 10-man exactly the same, there would be no issues at all. Because the original issue with the acquisition change that they put out to begin with was the fact that in the time it will take 10-man to make 1 staff, 25-man would have already made 5 or 6. Like, that was the issue. The issue wasn't the fact that 25-man are going to get more. The issue was how long it actually takes for 10-man to make one. So as long as both raid sizes are actually making staves at exactly the same rate, it doesn't matter how many more 25-man make over 10-man. So what I'm saying by this, just in case you can't work it out already, is have 2 sets of quest items drop. Literally as simple as that. They can't go to the same person, so how Blizzard would actually implement that, I don't know, but you would have to have it so they have to be given to different people. But I would literally just have 2 sets of quest items, so that's Eternal Embers, Seething Cinders, and Smouldering Essence, be able to be acquired from each boss each week for 25-man. whereas in 10-man, it's only 1. That literally doubles the amount of staves that a 25-man's going to get, so their entire raid and all their casters and can do splits and do whatever else they want to do is going to get all their staves before Dragon Soul. 10-man's completely unaffected because actually when a 25-man make their first staff, 10-man's going to make their first staff at the same time, there or thereabouts. So then it makes it kind of irrelevant because, again, just to reiterate, the problem was nothing to do with the fact that 25-man were making more staves with the first changes. It was the fact that they'd make their first one in about 4.5 or 6 weeks, whatever it was, and then a 10-man's waiting 9 to possibly 12 weeks to make one. So I think they've got that balance right with 10-man straight away, leave it exactly how it is. Now just increase the amount of staves that 25-man get, not increase the speed at which they get them. Remember, these are just my thoughts, and these are not the thoughts coming from someone who's talking selfishly as a GDKP raid leader or something like that, Superhuman Jesse on Mancrick. It's someone talking as someone, I want the health of the game to be good. My interest is not in 25-mans or 10-mans being able to get as many staves as possible. My interest is in everybody enjoying playing Cata, everybody wanting to go on to MOP. And I think that's pretty fair because we're all invested in this game in one way, shape or form. If you're invested in your 10-man raid group, you want to see the 10-man changes be positive. If you're invested in a 25-man raid group, of course you want to see the 25-man raid changes to be positive. And again, if you're a GDKP leader, you want to be like, well, how can we make as much gold from this as possible? Whereas I'm none of those things. Well, I'm all of those things, actually, to be fair. But mainly, I just want everyone to enjoy the rest of Cata because there's not that much left, and ultimately see you in Mr. Pandaria. And I kind of think outside of some minor changes where Blizzard have been listening and like reducing the price of the wand, which I'd already mentioned in a video was really overpriced on the new Inferno vendor, there's not that much else I want to talk about. It was more just the staff and why, you know, people just chill out. As long as everyone gets their staves during Firelands and we're not forced to go back during Dragon Soul, I mean, me personally, I'm happy with that. But as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Check me streaming out over on Twitch and Kick, and I'll see you on the next one.